My niece says that I now look like someone who's pretending to be a librarian but is actually the villain in a story. And you know, I'm not mad about that. G'day folks, Wren here, and today we are doing my February TBRGate. So it's already February. Cool. Once again, we are back to having the fan on in the background. I tried to do it, guys. I really tried to not have fans on, but I live in Australia, it's currently summer, it's hot, so very sorry, but the fan is staying on. If you are not familiar with my TBR game, this is TBRGate. This is my Stargate Atlantis themed TBR game where I use this handy dandy board to pick my prompts. I'm trying to get 7 symbols to create a gate address. Every symbol correlates to an episode of Stargate Atlantis. All of the episodes correlate to a prompt that I pick a book from. We have chevrons up here. They are where I will pick a character card and choose one of the prompts on there. If I land on a hive ship, I have to pick 2 books to fulfill the 1 prompt. The only way I get hive ships on the board is by not completing my TBR gate from the previous month, and the hive ships will stay on the board until I complete them. And you know, from January, you know that the board is really scary right now. Like, really scary. So scary, in fact, that I don't have any more hive ships prepared. So we'll go through my January TBR gate to see if I read them or not. So the first prompt that I got was Doppelganger, which the prompt for that is nighttime themes, and for that I wanted to read the Midnight Library. I didn't get to it. So that means that a hive ship now has to go on that prompt. More hive ships, yay. Then I had Tabula Rasa, which was to read a mystery or thriller, and for that I read the Thursday Murder Club, which thankfully I did read, and I gave it 4 stars. Then we had Adrift, which was a non-pretty cover, and for that I was meant to read Lifelike. I ended up DNFing this, like, pretty early on, because just J. Kristoff, I can't with J. Kristoff and his constant need to sexualize things and people graphically when they're teenagers or seemingly dead. Then I had The Intruder, which was a 5-star prediction, and for that I wanted to read Iron Widow. I did start Iron Widow. I think I'm currently like 60-ish pages in, so I'm not very far, unfortunately, but I have started it and I think I'm gonna just try and finish it in February. Then we had Sunday, which was an emotional book, and for that I picked up Station 11. I am 100 and something pages into this, so I'm going to count that as complete as well. I might finish it, I might DNF it, I'm not sure. Then we had Tale of Rodney, and the prompt for that was magical abilities, and for that I was meant to read House of Hollow, and I did read it and I gave it 5 stars, and it was my favourite read of January. Then I landed on a chevron, and that chevron happened to have a hive ship on it. So the 2 characters I picked out were Amelia Banks and Leyden Redeem. So I had to read a new to you author as well as a historical. So for the new to you author I picked Lord of the Flies, which I did read and I gave it 4 stars. And then the historical I picked Outlander, which I DNF'd after about 230 pages-ish. It was good while I was reading it, and then I put it down and I didn't want to read it anymore. So I watched some of the show instead. And again, I stopped watching the show and I don't have any inclination to pick it up, so. And then our last glyph was Protocol, and the prompt for that was Final Book. And for that, I was meant to read Monster Tamer Girls Volume 2, and I did read that and I gave it 4 stars. So that was January. There's a lot happening in February, and I just decided to want to do all of the readathons. There's Blackathon, Romantasy-athon, readathon thing. I also need to complete Ellie's Read My Kindle bingo board for January and February. I'm planning on doing all of the reads in February because I'm a weirdo who just decided to do everything in 1 month. I'm pretty sure there's other readathons, but there were so many that I'm mentally preparing TBRs for that I can't anymore. Anyways, let's go to our first spin. this was the hive ship that I completed in January. Unfortunately, I didn't finish all my prompts, so I have to put this on this prompt. Alright, and I finished on Salma last month, so we're going to start on Salma this month. Spin number 1. 10. Axel. Ooh, and the episode is Echoes, which I love. And the prompt for that is spooky. I'm always down for a good spooky book. So our first spin for February, we landed on Axel, which the episode for that is Echoes, with the prompt being spooky. Echoes is a great episode. It really is the epitome of like spooky vibes. There's a deserted town at nighttime, there is mist covering everything, and strange creatures lurking in the mist, picking off characters. It's fun. I love it so much. I am always in a spooky mood, but I decided to pick up Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. I've wanted to read Skullduggery Pleasant for a really long time, but I just kept not. My friend Max, this is his favourite series of all time, and when we were making gingerbread houses in December, he was like, can I put on the audio book for this while we just focus? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so he put on the audiobook, we listened to a couple chapters, and it was good. And so I really want to listen to the audiobook now. I definitely want to continue reading this. I don't really know what this is about. Yeah, this girl's uncle dies and she inherits like his house. And then there's this, her uncle's friend comes along and kind of tells her all of these things that her uncle did, all these adventures. And there is magic and folklore-esque. And like there's just a guy with a skull. Spin number 2. 15. Oh, so close to a free space. That is Rubbinous. And the episode for that is Hide and Seek Fun Times. And the prompt for that is Dark Cover. Also think I can do that this month. So for spin number 2 we had Romantasy, and the episode for that is Hide and Seek, with the prompt being a dark cover. Hide and Seek is one of the first episodes of the Stargate Atlantis series. It's really cool just them finding out all of the mysteries that Atlantis has to offer, and you know, there is Rodney and John just shenanigans, which I'm always here for. It's really cool. There is a big mist monster that is just dark mist, hence the dark cover. So the book I chose for this was The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Lavelle. I wanted to read this for a long time just because like the cover looks awesome. And it's in New York, there's magic, that's always a fun time. But this is a really short book and it has music and magic and New York vibes. It looks a little potentially spooky. It has that like gritty feel that I like about some like magic systems. So I'm really interested to read this, and it is short, so that's always handy. Also, this will count towards my Aurelium prompt for February, which is buildings on the cover. And this guy's walking through an alley, so spin number 3. 14. I'm getting all the big numbers this month. We got Dynami. Look at that, I am in between 2 hives. That is so lucky. And the episode for that is Whispers. Again, great freaking episode. And the prompt for that is female dominant. Then for spin number 3 we landed on Dynami, and the episode for that is Whispers, with the prompt being female dominant. I love Whispers because we get an all-female Stargate team, and that has never happened before, and this team is awesome. The leader of the team, she's like, oh what, you didn't expect my team to be full of all females? Well, I was told I could pick the best of the best, and I did. Funny how that works out. I was like, yes, yes. So the book I decided to pick for this was Go Deep by Readathons. This is counting towards my Blackathon, and This is on Read My Kindle as well. But this is again another short book, and it's about this author who is a romance author, and she's kind of lost the spark to write smutty scenes since she found her ex sleeping with someone else. So she asks her best friend to help her get her groove back. Is that a good way of saying it? So they end up having sex and she gets her spark back and it turns into a romance. So spin number 4. 3. Len Chen. And the episode for that is Satida, with the prompt being set in your own country. This could actually be difficult. Then for spin number 4, we landed on Len Chen, with the episode being Satida, and the prompt for that being set in Australia. Satida is a good episode. It gives you a lot of background on Ronan, which is great. I loved the little snippets of his backstory and his world fighting the Wraith. That was really great. Him just being like a total badass and killing like a dozen Wraith in like a minute. Great. This prompt, set in Australia, well, set in your own country. I live in Australia, so set in Australia. It's becoming actually really difficult to fulfill this prompt because there are a lot of books set in Australia that I'm just not interested in, like at all, and there's very few that are actually on my shelves, and I'm trying to read my shelves this year, and if not my physical TBR, then at least my Kindle. But I did find one that I have been wanting to read for a long time, and that is Women's Talk. I can't pronounce the actual title, but this is a poetry collection by the women from Central Australia, and it is a Indigenous poetry collection, which there's just something about Indigenous poetry that just, it hits different, and all the Indigenous poetry that I've read has been phenomenal. So I'm really interested to read this, and I love a good poetry collection. Like, they don't get enough hype. There is healing in this poetry. These are our words from our country, our lands, our spirits. For all the troubles we face every day, we are a passionate people. When we hear these poems, we know we are lovers of life. Wow. Okay, spin number 5. 15. You know, I was just thinking that I had had it too easy, and now I landed on a hive ship, and that is Avanov. So the episode for that is the Daedalus variation, and the prompt is Skull Pick. So that's kind of annoying. And then we have spin number 5. We landed on Avanov, which the episode for that is the Daedalus variation, which is a fun episode, but I'm just kind of annoyed because there's a hive ship on it. So the Daedalus variation is one of those like classic sci-fi episodes where the team are kind of going to almost different, they're going to different realities in the space of an episode. And it's fun, it's great, really cool, but there's a hive ship and I just can't. So the prompt for this is Skull Pick, which means I have no choice. And my little neurodivergent brain doesn't like not having control. So I don't know why I picked such a like out of control method of choosing a book. So this handy dandy guy back here is the skull jar. Okay, I just had to check it was the right skull jar. The amount of skull jars I have in my room, slightly disturbing. In this jar is a bunch of paper that lists all of the books on my physical TBR that I had at the beginning of 2022, and I haven't touched this since, except when it's come up in a TBR. It hasn't been updated. I have read several books from my TBR since then, I have bought many since then, and I have unhauled many since then. So we'll see what we can get. And because this is a hive ship, I have to pick 2 books from this. If it wasn't already scary enough, now we have a hive ship. Okay, so, bunch of paper. Wow, this is the first time I'm looking in this after having read Uzumaki, and I rolled them all up. There's many spirals. If you know, you know. Alright, I'm gonna try and... this one. Oh, is this 2? Ooh, it's 2! Are these going to be the 2 that I pick? Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. I don't actually know what that says. Goosebumps. The Haunted Mask. Okay. Random. Let me go find that. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's in this handy dandy tin that has 4 of the books in it. Alright, The Haunted Mask. This is hilarious. I'm having a great time. I have not read Goosebumps books since I was a kid, and I'm really excited, honestly. So yeah, this is just going to be a Halloween mask that can't come off and possesses someone. I am a little bit hesitant to read this now after Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin did a bunch of reading vlogs with Goosebumps, and some of them weren't as great as others. I might have to rewatch his vlogs to see what he gave this. Okay, that's the first one. Okay, this was the other one that I had pulled out, I promise. Like, I don't even know why I try and show you this. Like, it's not gonna focus on a little piece of paper. Finding Audrey. Okay. Where are you? Oh, you're under here. Okay, so this is Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. This has been on my like must read this year for like 3 years in a row because it's one of the oldest books on my TBR and I still haven't read it. And every time I do an unhaul, I hesitate over this because I'm like, ugh, am I really gonna want to read it? But then it's about a girl who's afraid to leave her house. And then it's about her like being able to leave the house and like finding herself. And like that's annoyingly interesting to me. So I guess I'm going to read it this month. I really hope so because I do not want a hive ship to be on this space any longer because that's terrifying. Spin number 6. 2. Zio. So the episode for that is The Intruder, with the prompt being 5-star prediction. Spin number 6, we landed on Zio, with the episode being The Intruder and the prompt for that being 5-star prediction. I think this was in my last month's TBR, so I'm not going to go into what the episode is about. I obviously loved it because the prompt is 5-star prediction. It's a fantastic episode. I do love it so much. But 5-star prediction. I didn't technically finish my 5-star prediction from last month, so I could just like carry that over and use it again this month, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to pick up Spy Family Volume 2 by Tatsuya Endo. I really loved the first volume, it was really fun, and I am very intrigued to keep reading. So this is about a spy who needs a family as a cover, so he enlists the help of a child. He just like adopts her from a random orphanage. The child can actually read thoughts, not that she tells anyone this. And then he also needs a wife, so he recruits this lovely young woman who actually turns out to be an assassin. And no one knows the truth so far, except the young girl. She knows everything because she can hear thoughts, and it's both a fun time for her because she loves like spy movie things. It's also terrifying because, you know, death stuff. But these are so much fun and I definitely think I'll continue loving the series, so I'm very keen to get to this. Alright, we're on to our last spin. Whew. Ramnon. So the episode for that is First Contact, the prompt being next in series, which I'm pretty sure I can do. And then the last glyph we landed on was Ramnon, and the episode for that is First Contact, with the prompt being next in a series. First Contact is an interesting episode because we get Daniel Jackson. I love Daniel Jackson, he's my everything. And him being in Stargate Atlantis is great, and him and Rodney have such good banter together, and they have contact with a certain race that we've seen before, hence the next in a series prompt. So for this, I decided to pick up Royally Endowed. Is her name Emma? Her name is Emma Chase. So this is the 3rd book in the Royally series, which I really enjoyed the first book. I liked the 2nd book, and hopefully I'm going to love the 3rd book. This is a modern royalty romance series, and in this 3rd book, we are getting the bodyguard. He's just a bodyguard within the like royal family thing, and he has a relationship, I think, with the female main character's from the first book's sister. So it might be a little confusing, and I'm not sure really what anything is about, but it's a contemporary romance. You know, it's just fun times, and this was one of the series that I wanted to make progress on in 2023, so at least I'm doing that. So these ended up being all of my February books, including Royally Endowed, Ballad of Black Tom, and Go Deep. So an interesting selection. Someone commented on one of my videos recently saying that I had such a wide range of genres that I read. And I was like, it's not any more obvious than it could be right now. We have a manga, a children's horror, a indigenous poetry collection, YA paranormal, and a contemporary romance-ish women's lit fic thing. And then I have some smutty books and some weird books. You know, I'm a well-rounded reader. So, what are your plans for February? Are you reading a bunch of romance? Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.